What's up, y'all? Good morning. Y'all see the thumbnail? Y'all see this title? Shannon Sharpe drama, full breakdown. It got even worse. Yesterday, when we read through the updates, as far as, just painting the picture of these accusations, no man wants these type of accusations on them ever, of course. But there was a lot of cause to pause in what we read yesterday, right? It's a lot of like, wait a minute, this happened last month, and then next month he said that he's coming by with some birthday and some Christmas gifts. He came over again. It happened. There was a bunch of things in there that we pointed out. But one thing that I did was I said, when you have accusations like this, we're going to treat it sensitive because they're serious accusations. If Tony Busby is on some BS and this needs to be tossed, that's the conclusion that we're going to end up at. But if there's a bunch of other details that continue to flow out, and yesterday, yeah, it was bad. So we got pictures now of the alleged victim. We're going to take a look into her. There's going to be a mini topic there about her age, to be perfectly blunt. We got to look at this alleged $10 million offer to settle initially. We're going to take a look at that. We got to look at Stephen A. Smith's response. He pretty much threw Shannon Sharpe under the bus. That's going to be a topic within itself when I get to the corporate side, because I think we were spot on yesterday when we said Shannon Sharpe has a bigger problem because corporate. Okay. You see Big U in the thumbnail. There's some updates on him. I'm going to save him until after we get through all this Shannon Sharpe stuff. And also, within the Shannon Sharpe stuff, just a quick Tony Busby, little topic as well. So it's a lot, man. Let's start working. Let's start off here. Something that I saw yesterday. All relevant, y'all. All relevant. So Shannon Sharpe appears to have been in the midst of $100 million deal. Shannon Sharpe has received multiple offers and is expected to sign a deal that would exceed $100 million. This was reported 4 days ago, people. This was all before the news broke of all of this, the SA allegations on him and Tony Busby coming out and filing a suit on him with this alleged victim, Gabriella Zaninga, right? But this was days prior. He was in the midst of this. Look at this. Shannon Sharpe's media deal with Colin Cowherd's The Volume Podcast Network is up. So now he's moving on to bigger and better, possibly. And that's that re-up, right? That's what Drake is on. Hey, 400 million last time, allegedly 800 million this time. The re-up factor, man. Him and Ocho is up to make some next level type of bread, man. And he's been earning it. His following, his stature, his podcast, it's all been through the roof. He's one of the biggest platforms and podcasts out there, let alone he's on ESPN how many times a week with Stephen A. Smith, who within itself is a juggernaut when it comes to the sports media industry, right? Stephen A. Smith is one of the top guys, if not the, and he's got a damn show with him. So all this on the table, spooky. What happens to this deal? Is it put on pause? Does it continue? Was the ink already dry? Let's continue, man. That is relevant. Now let's start to look into the alleged victim. Allegedly, Gabriella Zaninga. Now, before we get into the audio that was released from her side, allegedly, before we get into more text messages that were released, allegedly, from her side and Tony Busby, I just want to do just a perception, just outside looking in. What do you guys feel and what do you guys see as these pictures come across your desk? Okay. First, let's just take a look at this one. You see her here. This is a young girl. They say the relationship allegedly started when she was 19, and all of this is now unfolding when she's now 20. I know there are some girls out there that can be in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and they look like they're in their 20s, but this looks like a little girl. I'm just keeping it 1,000. This looks like she looks 20, and if she walked up to me right now, if I was the bouncer at a club and that was my job to check IDs and all that, and she walked up on me and passed me an ID that said 25, you know how the bouncers be like this? That would be me if that was my job. I would look at her and be like, I don't know, baby girl. You got a passport? You got something else with you? You got another something. Because she looks young as shit. Nothing wrong with older men being into their little younger women, but the picture don't look good as we start to now correlate the claims of you being possessive, being abusive, being controlling. The picture gets painted of what happens with some of these little young girls. Now, I don't think that she's an angel. We saw some of her text messages, but we'll get there. We'll get there. What else is in this particular one? Well, I'll save the text messages for later. I just want to continue to look at her for a second. We have to try to put as much of the puzzle together, people. Look at this. So they're saying that she's an OnlyFans model. Found her OnlyFans model Gabriella Gabby Zaninga. Shannon Sharpe is suing Shannon Sharpe for $50 million. So we know that, but this looks like a young little girl, B. And they met in the gym, right? A little gym picture. They're saying that she's a back page little girl. This picture right here, I'm sorry, y'all. This girl does nothing for me. Look at this. She looks like a child in this picture. Allegedly. This picture is the type of picture you just did not want to come to the internet as Shannon Sharpe. She looks like a little kid. And mature conversation once again this morning, people. When I see pictures like this of this little girl or this young girl or this young woman, allegedly, I want to be as correct as possible and as respectful as possible to all parties involved. But when I see stuff like this, not on no funny shit, but we laughed yesterday when I saw the text message that said, "Come put a black baby in me," right? And I said, whoever wrote that can't be black. Can't be a black woman that's gonna write, "Come put a black baby in me." Now, when I see the picture of this young woman, I'm trying, people. I'm trying of this young woman, and I think back to them text messages from yesterday. I even have a problem with Shannon Sharpe allowing this girl to text him like that. I ain't letting no little young 20-year-old fill in whatever blanks you want, texting me talk about like this. Come put a black. Even if I am legally going to date and have a consensual relationship with a girl of this age, even if I would, I'm 50-something year old. Who the fuck you think you get your ass in your place? You don't even know what you talking about, little girl. Come put a black baby in you. Her mind and everything is yet to develop. You can't show people like me them text messages and then show me pictures like this. I'm sorry, people. This Stan, you gotta move that age up, man. You ain't got no business with these young, whatever. You don't, homie. You don't. Let's keep going. It's just the picture before we start continuing to further build on this. Yo, look at this girl, B. Nah, get your ass off my line. I don't mean phone. I'm talking about the club thing again. You at the wrong. Go take your ass to Chuck E. Cheese. I mean that with all due respect, man. I believe that this is a consensual, legal relationship, right? But that's a whole topic within itself, people. This is what got you in the gym, Shannon. 50 plus. This little young girl. This is what you want. Everybody got their preference. But like I said yesterday, and it was a lighter hearted comment because we didn't have all the details that continues to come out yesterday when we did our 6 a.m. stream yesterday morning. And like I said, a 20-year-old girl near 20 can't really do nothing for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, we definitely have no conversation. What are we talking about? What the fuck are we talking about? All right. Let's move on now. Let's get to Shannon Sharpe's public statement, and then I'll give you my reaction to that.
To my family, friends, supporters, and colleagues, I want to speak to you directly and from the heart. This is a shakedown. I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because this isn't right. This is all being orchestrated by Tony Busby, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Busby targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a sex tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine. That video should actually be 10 minutes or so. Hey, Tony, instead of releasing your edit, put the whole video out. I don't have it, or I would myself. You know what happened, and you're trying to manipulate the media. The encounter in question took place during the day at her invitation, and now that appears to be a deliberate setup, coordinated by Gabby, also known as Carly on OnlyFans. Gabby and Tony Busby want $50 million. What they're getting is sued for defamation and trying to take me down. My career is all about real talk and honesty. I know my family and fans know exactly what this is about. And I'm going to be out there telling you whatever I need to say, just like I always do. I love all you guys. Thanks.
All right. Two angles being played there. One, we're gonna keep an ear to. The second one, um, you might need more people. Okay, the first one angle played is the Tony Busby angle. That's obvious, right? Um, should I'll save my Tony Busby topic. I'll save it for a second because we got something to show from him. I will say this: as far as playing that angle, we know his credibility was tarnished publicly with a lot of us from the Jay-Z situation. Shannon Sharpe mentioned it, of course. If I'm Jay-Z, don't say my name in this shit. We know Tony Busby, right? Remember him and Jay-Z? Like, yeah, shit it. Don't say my name in this shit, mom. Him too. Hey, y'all, everybody come out. We caught. What do you mean? We? The cop is holding you. Like, I have to find a way to break up such a serious topic, y'all. We gotta find some entertainment in here, man. But all right, that's the first angle. The second angle is the black angle. I don't know about that. Um, I don't know about that. I haven't seen that vibe from Tony Busby just yet. Um, and if Tony Busby has all these black, white, Hispanic, Asian clients, and he's gone after, he's accused black, white, Asian, Mexican over his career, et cetera, then Shannon just turns around and looks like he's playing the race card, right? And you got to be careful trying to pull the race card too early if you're going to use it. So I, I grabbed those two angles right there, obviously. Now, him putting out a public statement, I feel like it was warranted. You know, if his lawyer would have came out and said something, people would have grabbed it and ran with it. But he's on camera every day via ESPN or via his own podcast. And what started to unfold yesterday was just so ugly. I think he's trying to be out there and show like I'm here. And what else are you going to do at this point? Like, it's the type of stuff that you can't avoid. You can't say like, oh, that's not me on that audio. That's not me in these text messages. That I don't know this girl. I don't even go to that gym. This is a lot of stuff that seems to be validated, from this plaintiff, this alleged victim, Gabriella Zeninga. So this public statement right here, he's saying that he's going to sue as well. And I feel that way for Drewski. I felt that way for Jay-Z. If somebody drags you through the mud like this, Jay-Z said that he was in the midst of like a $20 million deal, might have messed that up. Here we go right here. 4 days prior, $100 million deals being discussed publicly on the table for Shannon Sharpe. If Tony Busby and Gabriella Zeninga, if y'all are lining me up and I got this $100 million on pause or possibly lost, or maybe the negotiations change or whatever, yeah, somebody's got to see me about that. So all options are open. You're going to have to fight, not just for your current, but for your future. Okay. You don't want to be on cloud 9 for a whole, 14 months. And then all of a sudden you're pushed out the industry. Like, I'm pretty sure he's got a lot of assets and he's made some good money over the last couple of years, but then again, he was already making money even when he was with Skip, but this is another echelon for Shannon right now that he's been in ever since his podcast and ESPN. And that's why he's got $100 million deals in front of him. You got to fight to protect all of this at this point. So his public statement and even the whole thing of, I believe a sex tape is on the way. So you've already been engaged behind the scenes, and we're going to get into that audio in a second, people. You've already been engaged. You knew that this was coming. There's been conversations between lawyers prior to this, okay, prior to everything going public. And that video that you say is on the way, you could try to, get ahead of it by saying, hey, context is missing, people. They're going to release 30 seconds of it. And, it's really supposed to be 10 minutes of it. Well, I agree. And I got to stand on that. Context does matter. But if you're being threatened by this 30-second clip that you feel is outside of just consensual relationships, what is it? Is it some violent looking type of stuff that's gonna paint a picture that if you don't got the footage, then you in trouble, right? It's Diddy's trying to do that right now too, saying, "Hey, CNN altered that footage." Well, if you don't got the rest of the footage, I'm sorry, that's what we're left with. If we never get the video footage, allegedly, I'm making this up, of Cassie punching Diddy in the face first, that's what we're left with. So if he says in this video he don't got the footage, so if all they put out is him grabbing her by the throat and then slamming her on the bed and then jumping on top of her, taking her down while she's screaming, allegedly, you could say that was our act. That's us role playing or whatever, but their side is going to be scary. And I think that's what he's trying to get ahead of here. I'm not just trying to put some wild mega shit on him. That's what he's saying. Why else would he be scared of only a piece of it coming out and then saying it was consensual? So it's going to get worse in that respect too. But let's continue. Let's get to the audio. Damn. Doesn't look good. I don't need the small screen for that.
I don't know. Anything I say, you're just going to like get mad at and you're just going to hang up on me. So I feel like
I'm not going to hang up on you. Here's what it is.
What does that even mean?
Nothing yet.
Yeah, the way she talks. She sounds young as shit.
You want to be a dick to me now, so.
I don't want to be. Don't manipulate me.
Oh, Lord have mercy. If you say that one more time, I'm going to fucking choke the shit out of you when I see you. Thank you.
Okay.
So within the situation, audio that comes, if she's coming out saying that he argued me, he did this, he did that, he's abusive and all this type of stuff, if that's the allegations, and then audio comes out with him saying, I'm gonna choke the shit out of you, it's amplified. It doesn't look good. And to be fair, like I always try to be, in regular confrontation or relationship toxicity or arguments or whatever, people will talk to each other like that. Okay, I've had women talk to me like that too. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm pushing your fucking face when I see you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Now I know you ain't gonna put a fucking finger on me unless I tell you to. You know what I'm saying? But you might say that shit to me. You know what I mean? Like, or I might be being sarcastic. What? Yo, say that shit again. Say I won't body slam you. Like, say it sarcastically or jokingly or whatever. But, this being within the accusations is the problem. That's the real bad problem. Like, I can get around audio like that coming out on me or any man, but these accusations are of abuse. So that's a problem. But continuing.
Well, I don't.
You know what?
Well, I don't want to be choked.
Yes, you do. I don't think you have a choice in the matter.
One thing that annoys me, just sidebar, is I keep getting reminded that this is a 50-plus-year-old man and a 20-year-old, allegedly. Like, I'm not having, even if I decided to have legal, consensual relationships with a 20-year-old, which I wouldn't, but even if I did, I wouldn't end up in a conversation like that. Like, I'm not sitting there with all this blank space of like as if I can't control an argument with this little 20-year-old girl. Uh, Maybe it paints a picture like, Shannon, this is what you're into. It paints a picture. I can't put that on that man's jacket. I'm just saying this is the type of stuff that comes from that. The last reaction that I'll give y'all to that piece is the scary thing is it's like in this era, you're not just worried about whack 100. Like everybody is recording and saving text messages. Everybody across the board. Don't think that this person that you've been dealing with for 6 months or they all got something on you. I didn't have conversations with some of my homies that, they have separated relationship, that have kids with a woman, for example, and they save every text message and every phone call in fear that one day they're going to end up in like custody court or something like that, because they want to be able to show the judge, this is when we was arguing. This is when she said we were going to meet and exchange the child at 3:00 and she didn't show up till 5:00. It's everything is being saved in today's era, man. Like don't call me and there's a pause. I'm going to assume you just clicked me on three-way. And it's cool. It is cool. Like at this point, I'm just going to continue to be very, very defensive of phone calls and text messages, because that's just the world that we're in. And God forbid I got a text message or a phone call that is missing context, right? But just a quick reminder for y'all. But this gets even worse for Shannon Sharpe. Let's move to the next piece. Like I said, I want to get a full update and a full breakdown for y'all. Let me go to the small screen. Shannon Sharpe accuser confronted him over alleged R. No means no. Not good text messages to have out there, but Shannon Sharpe's accuser confronted him over the alleged January 2025 SA with a newly released text message showing the woman told him no means no, Shannon. The convo took place in the evening of January 2nd, 2025, the day Jane Doe alleged in her lawsuit that Sharpe R'd her. So here goes the text message from Gabby to owner. So you got to assume Shannon Sharpe, allegedly, I'll say. But I cried when you left because I begged you to put a condom on and not put it in and you didn't listen. I don't care what our history is. No means no, Shannon. Yes, that is true, people. No means no. I know yesterday we had a different type of conversation and we gave examples of like the scene in Baby Boy or like the song with Kendrick Lamar, where you have couples that are deep in their relationships, very sexually understanding of each other, and they use sex to heal. They use sex as arguments. They use sex in the middle of arguments. Many of us have been there before, but there's that line there of forceful nature of no. The Baby Boy scene, I don't remember her ever screaming and stop and yelling and scratching and saying no. And I'm not saying that's what happened here with Shannon, allegedly. But as much as there's a piece of and a vibe of, dude, you might be getting lined up here with her even recording that phone call. Because if you're recording, that's intentional, which means you're going to alley-oop certain questions and try to get certain responses. I don't want to be choked. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't mean that it's justified whatever he says. Same thing with text messages. If some of these text messages are happening after the fact, after the recording, like there is an element here of lining somebody up. But at the same time, because people don't really talk like that casually. like it's not common for me to feel like if I'm in a casual relationship with somebody, one of us is going to text the other person, no means no. That's like a lineup. Like people don't phrase an issue like that with those particular words, because those are like universally known of R. You know what I'm saying? If I don't want to use me, because the stereotype of men R'ing women is too strong. I'm going to reverse it. Okay. Let's say a woman R's me, right? A woman jumps on me in the morning, right? And I'm like, yo, chill. Nah, I'm tight. I don't feel like this right now. Chill. And she keep going. Right. If I text her a couple of days later about me being aggravated, it's gonna be worded something like, no, you be tripping, man. You know, I'm really focused on that shit you did yesterday, and you trying to fuck me and all that. Like, I don't appreciate that. Like, don't try to fuck the problem out of me. Like, you ain't getting past. I say something like that. I wouldn't say, hey, what you did, no means no in the text message. Like, people just don't talk like that. So be fair, be aware, people. He is possibly getting lined up, but he's also possibly allegedly doing things that are wrong, which could negate it. It's like, yeah, I'm lining you up. I'm texting you saying, come put a black baby in me. I'm lining you to fuck up, but you're doing shit that still is going to constitute me being able to go walk over to Tony Busby's office, allegedly. So it's odd there. Like, all right, continue with the text message. I don't know how to process this. This is from Gabby to him, allegedly. And then continuing here from him to her, allegedly. Can I call you later? This is all within the time period. You see 4/16. This is all January 2nd, 2025. 4/16 was the first one. This one's 4/16/17. This was 4/26/06. So she's saying the no means no stuff, and he's trying to follow up and say, let me call you. At least that's what's painted there. Doe, yeah, you don't need to say Doe. They exposed her, Shannon Sharpe side. We laughed at that yesterday, realizing like, oh shit, did he just say her name? But look now. And hold on, that's gonna even compound Tony Busby's position. Doe tells Sharpe in the message, I cried when you left because I begged you to put on and not put it in my, and you didn't listen. I don't care what our history is, she added. No means no, Shannon. That's true. Regardless of your sexual history, you can't do certain. Let me skip a little past that. She went on to tell Sharpe, I don't know how to process this. And in response, Sharpe asked if he could call her later. It's unclear if the two were able to talk about the matter on the phone. The text were released to TMZ Sports. Now, these are ones, it looks like that would be before that. 6/14. I assume that's going to be 6/14, 2024. Yeah, so this is obviously months before that, about 6 months before that. I want to be abused, daddy. So they're trying to show the nature of how they talk to each other. I want like some hardcore BDSM action. No, once again, what is this 20-year-old doing talking like this? Like, I know 20-year-old is supposed to be a young woman, but where's your parents still? Am I treating a 20-year-old too young? Y'all let me know. Am I treating a 20-year-old like she's 15? Is that what I'm doing? I want y'all to let me know, because I just still feel a little weirded out when I see her fucking little girlish like pictures. She just looks too like you're not there yet. But allegedly, in one which sent to Doe Sharpe in June 2024. Says, I want to be okay. Yeah, so we just read those. Look at this one. I want you to tie me up like this and abuse me, daddy. And it's a picture. Okay. Those are the text messages. All right, this one, things haven't been going well so far in this stream for Shannon. This one right here makes it worse. I don't know if this was an accident. I don't know if this is a misstep. I don't know if this is. Check this one out, people. Shannon Sharpe offered our accuser at least $10 million to settle the case.
Did you and Shannon offer to settle these accusations?
Yes, there was a settlement offer made by Mr. Sharpe. I will only generally say to you that it was in the tens of millions of dollars demanded by the plaintiff in return for her silence. That's under any definition commonly understood. That is blackmail. And Mr. Sharpe was willing to pay an amount in the tens of millions of dollars, but no final agreement could be reached. and we thought we were still in the middle of discussions when, without warning, the mediator, who's a retired judge, ourselves as lawyers, without any prior warning, still thinking that we were close to a final agreement, the plaintiff and her lawyer from Houston filed a case in Texas, publicly accusing my client of lies and willful, harmful lies by using the rape word when it was she knows, 100% knows, and the evidence will show that she knew that this was entirely consensual. So we were of the belief on our side that we had an agreement without any warning. Not even the mediator, who is a retired judge, was given a warning out of courtesy. This case was filed and the public charges went throughout the media before we even knew that the discussions were over and the case had been filed.
Mr. Davis, last Friday, Front Office Sports reported Mr. Sharpe was in line for a $100 million deal for his podcast. On Sunday, the lawsuit was filed. Is there a timing issue here?
This is one of those two facts line up one after the other, where everyone can draw their own reasonable inference. So I have a reasonable inference. It's my reasonable inference. Others might disagree that they're very related, that this plaintiff was looking for money. What she does on OnlyFans was for money in role-playing and virtual fantasy with men who pay her. At the end of the relationship, it's not known yet, but it is a fact that the plaintiff started to charge Mr. Sharpe money. So the relationship became transactional. This is who she is by the facts. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just describing two facts, that she charged him money or asked for money. She's on OnlyFans and charges people money to do role playing. And that for that reason, I'm going to let the inference be decided by everybody that her knowledge that Mr. Sharpe was about to receive a very lucrative contract based upon his talent and his abilities, and he's extremely capable on television and very knowledgeable, not only as a great former professional athlete, but I believe as a very credible and likable television presentation, that he has great value in his podcast and his positions on television. She knew that, took advantage of it, and I have described this in my opinion, it's my opinion only, that this is classic definition of blackmail, especially when you know the party you're blackmailing is about to be making a lot of money. In my opinion, that gives the greatest leverage to a blackmailer, and I believe there's a reasonable inference that one led to the other. Others might disagree. I'm sure Mr. Busby would make his own argument that this is not blackmail and that this is reasonable and that there's nothing to do with Mr. Sharpe's sudden announcement by somebody else, not by him, about a lucrative contract, had nothing to do with the plaintiff suddenly deciding to break off negotiation after she was offered tens of millions of dollars and suddenly to file a lawsuit. And why she did that and why her lawyer did that is up to them to explain.
The next question is coming from Edward Lewis from TMZ. I just want to be clear, Mr. Sharpe did make his accuser an offer in the tens of millions of dollars range, correct?
In the multiple of 10, that's all I'm willing to say at this point. But yes, the answer is yes, in multiples of 10 million, more than 10 million. I'd like to condition my last answer as I was not in the room for the mediation effort. It is possible it is only 10 million as the last offer. So I'll at least say at least 10 million, subject to my confirming whether there were any numbers exchanged higher than 10 million. So let me correct what I said, that it's at least a $10 million offer that had been made and that they walked away from.
What do y'all want me to do with that? Sorry, it's True Podcast. Chat, members, mods, checks and balances. What do y'all want me to do with that? Shout out to Jay, our beautiful member and mod, one of our beautiful members and mods. She put up say Sharpe, I hear you like him young. Somebody else say, damn, he's paying to play. Anybody want to know my form of pay to play? We got more to go to. I'm not done with this shit. People, just bear with me. We in podcast mode. You want to know my version of pay to play? I invest in the things that I feel like me or we or you, if you've earned that with me, would enjoy. Period. If it's a vacation, if it's a birthday, if it's a dinner spot that you want to try, a dinner spot that I want to try, you know what I'm saying? But I would never be brought down to a transactional level ever. Meaning, hey, babe, I want to do this next weekend. What you thinking? Okay, that's gonna cost you $500. What? Get all these women in the world, Shannon. First of all, Shannon, you know, like you're not some super brutally fucked over looking guy. He's in his 50s, but you look good for your 50s, dude. You're in shape. You're in better shape than a lot of people in their 20s. You know what I'm saying? And then you're a millionaire. What the fuck are you paying or doing this transactional shit with this little 20-year-old for? You don't see this sea of women out here available for you, Shannon, for free? That's not going to, and probably in the upper 20s, 30s, and 40s, and will be willing to do all that wild bondage shit with you too, and won't fucking record you. You find you a chick in her 40s or 50s, she ain't got time for recording. She don't give a fuck about none of it. She don't want no babies. She don't want you to put a black baby on it. She's 40-something. You can avoid all of that shit. With the stature that you have, dude, you walk into a room at Shannon Sharpe, you got some options, buddy. What the fuck you care about? That's Jay's comment. Say, Shannon, I heard you like him, allegedly. All right. What kills me about that, and what really makes this even worse, one of the worst pieces to this is, I assume that's one of his attorneys. You guys were in mediation with a retired judge prior to all this going public, and you admit multiple times on that audio that tens of millions, if not at least $10 million, was offered for silence and for settlement. Hey, man, just take this 10 million to go. You see, I brought up a comment from the chat earlier that said 10 million to save 100 million. I get the math, 10% of what you got on the table. But let's focus on the number. 10 million. I'm not giving somebody $10 for some shit I ain't do. I'm not giving somebody $1,000 for some shit I ain't do. Peep the pattern that I'm on. I just want to fuck with y'all with the money. How about $10,000 for something I ain't do? Some of y'all starting to get, 10,000. I could do a lot with 10,000. $100,000 for some shit you ain't do. Y'all got it? Chat, you got it? Who's got it like that in the chat? Put a 1. I want to see who many people are going to stunt. I'm not done. $1 million for some shit you ain't do, chat. Go ahead, show me in the chat. Who got it? Who's throwing around the Millie Rock for something they ain't do? Damn, it's not over yet. 7 million for some shit you ain't do. 10 million? We're not talking about at the point where I'm in court fighting it. We're talking about, damn, you're saying this, I'm saying this. We arguing, we texting, we trying to call each other. You telling me your text message no means no, boom, 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 boom. And then we get together behind the scenes. Maybe you bring a lawyer or something like that and say, hey, man, I feel like you did me wrong. And $10 million comes to the table. And this alleged attorney is admitting that we don't know why they stepped away from the negotiation. We thought that we was about to close the deal. And nobody would know about none of this. We thought we was about to close the deal. We thought that you was going to give us our $10 million and then you was going to walk away and go about your business and we was going to walk up. That's what that lawyer just said. What? So what do you take from that then? They walked away and she said, 10 million ain't enough. Tony Busby is over here advising me saying 10 million. He's about to sign 100. I looked up his current net worth. He's already worth this. Don't make me Google it right now. 10 million. 10 million is like okay, we could chill out. We're not starting at 10 million. We're stepping away from this private negotiation. We walking into court and we filing 50. Now you got to settle for half. That's how that goes. So if I go all the way back to the $10 start, I ain't giving you $10 for some shit I ain't do. Let alone 10 million. Tony Busby, we got more people. We're not done. The thumbnail says full breakdown. Let's go after it. Let's go after it, people. Tony Busby. Tony Busby's statement that he put out says, prior to engaging in the mediation process, Mr. Sharpe's counsel insisted on Jane Doe signing a confidentiality agreement. Mr. Sharpe's attorney has now breached that agreement, while at the same time deliberately revealing Jane Doe's name, Gabriella Zaninga. We all know it now, right? Allegedly. Phone number and private messages that again predate the alleged R. That was egregious error on Sharpe's part, because now all the things discussed and revealed in that mediative process will at some point be revealed. I agree. I kind of agree with Tony there. As set forth in the filed lawsuit, Mr. Sharpe's conduct throughout the 2-year relationship reveals a pattern of narcissism, manipulation, and coercive control. It grew progressively worse. This is where things like the audio, the text messages, the picture of this girl, the age of this girl, the signing of the NDA for a possible negotiation and settlement behind the scenes prior to this filing. You take all these pieces and you put them together. I gotta open my ear this time, Tony. I ain't gonna lie. Sharpe's new lawyer claims in his statement that the evidence paints a clear picture. He's right about that. It's just not the picture he wants the public to see. I agree. I don't like what I'm seeing right thus far. Shannon put out them text messages thinking that was a counter right jab, huh? Or a counter right hook. I don't know. Because now they come with the audio and they come with more text. Now we got to see things like no means no. Missed that. Who's advising you, Shannon Sharpe? And who's speaking like that on that last video we played? Admitting that type of shit for us to all hear on TMZ. As a matter of fact, I could have swore I heard somebody say, next question from TMZ. That person allowed themselves to be interviewed by TMZ, allegedly. With answers like that? With revelations like that? Although we will save the video discussed by Sharpe's lawyer for the courtroom, I would suggest that Mr. Sharpe's new lawyer take a moment to listen to his client at a different time on audio and ask his client for the real story, the truth. Oh my God. So sometimes you got that disconnect, people. Shout out to our movie heads, Primal Fear. Right? Sometimes the lawyer and the defendant, or let's say the client, they're not on a truthful lane together. Okay. I could have been in situations before where people then walked up to their lawyer and said, boom, 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 boom. Now, I'd be in a spot with evidence backing myself up to say, okay, is it one or is it both? Are you accepting a shitload of lies from your client? Or do you know your client's lying? And you just, because then I got to watch both you motherfuckers. I'm already watching this person. I could prove those lies already. But now you're pushing as the lawyer those lies. Do you know or not? Do you know that that's bullshit? Which would make you bullshit too. Do you know? You know, I can help you. I can help you understand some of this shit. But take Tony's advice there. Not to say that obviously it's divide and conquer, but it would also be the whole, hey, if Shannon, if you got some audio or some text messages that I'm unaware of, we have this thing called attorney-client privilege, which means that the things that are shared between us can't go to the public or can't go to the other counsel, can't go anywhere. So if you want to tell me you got some text messages, or she might got some text messages that might come out of some other shit, Let me know that so I could probably try to step ahead of that and prepare ourselves for that shit. And that's what Tony just advised him to do. Hey, you might want to go look at this, and that too. Because if you don't got it, I'm alluding to the fact that my client got it. Shit. Okay. In the attached audio, which was captured near the end of their relationship, Mr. Sharpe threatens to choke the out of Jane Doe. The contents of this clip are certainly not sexual. They are not playful. They are instead disturbing, aggressive, and dangerous. This audio paints a very clear picture of how Sharpe treated Jane Doe, leading her to escape from him by leaving Nevada and blocking all contact with him. So in the shit that we read yesterday, I think something kind of alluded to them moving into it. Oh, I forget. But she left the state. So now they're going to talk about all different reasons to constitute that 50 million. You're talking about displacement, right? You're talking about the R allegations, obviously. You talk about a lot of different reasons to try to justify these huge dollars, right? Displacement is big. Now, you got to have records for that. I moved in, and then that would be like, my lawyer would paint that as I had to retreat from danger. You see these text messages on, let's say, January 10th. Look at my plane ticket for January 20th. And look at this lease agreement in New York, January 28th of me moving into some new apartment and moving cross country. You know what I'm saying? I'm just painting a picture. Like, that's what Tony Busby just said. She left Nevada behind this. So you got records to constitute that, showing retreat. Like, this is not cool. Let me say this now about Tony Busby, and then I'm going to get into Stephen A. Smith and go back to this corporate topic that we were at yesterday. Tony Busby. We hear his name and we say, yo, go somewhere, because of what just happened with Jay-Z. And that's one of the angles we just showed that Shannon Sharpe is going to play and should play, right? Go after the credibility. They'll do that with star witnesses on the stand. Hey, Woody's a career criminal. Why would you believe his testimony, right? You go after people's credibility. But Tony Busby, I got to throw a little bit of a leeway in his direction in saying this. If you're still a hot topic for what happened with Jay-Z, he could take the position and take the podium and do a press conference saying, the only reason I withdrew that suit is because X, Y, Z, yada, yada, yada. And all you guys felt like we did that because it was some fuck shit. But it wasn't. It was just the way that the procedure went, and we had to take an L on that one. Whatever. I'm sorry. It just looks like some BS that they did and a money grab that they tried. But do we expect Tony Busby, with his now public figure and his public reputation, a couple weeks later to come out and right in front of us do it all over again? Because the actual process that he went through with Jay-Z, there was legal ramifications that were in front of him that showed him even some of the like Alex Spiro was calling out things like due diligence, a lawyer's responsibility to not take this third-party referral of this Jane Doe that was allegedly 13 at the time in a room with a female celebrity, Jay-Z and Diddy. Not take this third-party referral and say, okay, somebody's giving me this client and saying, hey, you might want to work with her and see if she got something on Diddy since you got an 800 number out already. Cool, let me just go ahead and file this. No, you're supposed to do due diligence. You're supposed to take this third-party's person and say, even though you might have did some homework, I still got to do my own homework, right? That was called out in the Jay-Z situation, okay? Now, do you get to this a couple weeks later and you don't do any due diligence? You don't collect any factual based type of records, text messages, audio. You don't take it that step further to make sure that a couple weeks later, you don't create Jay-Z Part 2 with Shannon Sharpe. Common sense says, no, you don't do that. If you're Tony Busby, and if you want to try to keep some type of career, if you want to keep some type of credibility as a legal law firm, a couple weeks later, you're going to do it again publicly with a big figure like Shannon Sharpe. You better have some good ducks in a row, right? And he might, is the point. The Jay-Z shit, y'all fucked up and y'all getting shot for it. But the Shannon shit, he might he might be a little bit stronger in this situation. That's my Tony Busby analysis in this right now. Because sometimes somebody's reputation precedes them, right? And the same way some of y'all get mad at me and say, no, Brittany Renner is reformed. If y'all could tell me Brittany Renner is reformed or whatever her name is, then we also got to accept that, okay, maybe Tony Busby fucked up with Jay-Z, but he's not with Shannon. Don't make me fuck y'all up, chat. And that was for you Brittany defendants yesterday. All right, this one, I had to. It's gonna be like 20 minutes, but we had to do it. We're gonna go corporate after this. And I'm also gonna ask the question of, is Stephen A. Smith throwing Shannon Sharpe under the bus?
As always, thanking all of y'all for y'all support for watching the show and what have you. The millions of downloads I received over iHeartRadio. Subscribers now eclipsing 1.18 million. Thank you so much for the love and support. Today's a different day because of where I have to get started and where I have to finish. There's only going to be one subject discussed today, and it's where we're getting started. It's involving some news that broke yesterday involving Shannon Sharpe, my colleague at ESPN and my friend. The Hall of Fame tight end was sued on Sunday by a woman proceeding under the name Jane Doe pseudonym. The 13-page civil complaint filed in Nevada alleges that Sharpe committed assault, sexual assault, battery, and sexual battery. The plaintiff alleges Sharpe sexually assaulted her several times at the end of 2024 and the beginning of 2025. The suit also alleges that Shannon engaged in the intentional infliction of emotional distress. It should be noted that the suit was filed by attorney Tony Busby. This is the same attorney that filed a suit against Jay-Z and P. Diddy, alleging they both sexually assaulted a minor, which has since been withdrawn. Jay-Z also has countersued Busby. By the way, the plaintiff in the Sharpe civil suit is not the woman heard in the accidental Instagram live stream incident that made headlines last September of last year. In response to the suit, Shannon and his legal team went to social media yesterday and released.
I didn't catch that. So Shannon Sharpe, I'm not Shannon Sharpe, Stephen A. Smith is confirming the girl in the suit is not the same person in the audio that was leaked a couple months ago, you know, when Shannon Sharpe had that little controversy around him. That would then confirm the allegation saying that she started having issues with Shannon. Well, I'm not saying it confirms it, but it would strengthen what Busby and her are saying, which is she tried to break up with Shannon after that audio came out. And that's where things started to change a little bit. Stephen A. Smith, once again, if I could do it, the cops could do it, or whoever. I'm just saying, some of the things you're saying up here, and I didn't even catch that one prior.
The series of allegedly sexually explicit text messages between him and the Jane Doe. In addition to that, they issued the following statement, quote, this lawsuit filed by Gabriella Zuniga and orchestrated by her attorney, Tony Busby, is a blatant and cynical attempt to shake down Mr. Sharpe for millions of dollars. It is filled with lies, distortions, and misrepresentations, and it will not succeed, end quote. Then earlier today, Jane Doe's attorney, Tony Busby, sent TMZ Sports a 1 minute and 36-second clip of an alleged conversation between his client and Shannon. In response to that clip, Shannon Sharpe went back to social media and issued this response. Take a look.
To my family, friends, supporters, and colleagues, I want to speak to you directly and from the heart. This is a shakedown. I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because this isn't right. This is all being orchestrated by Tony Busby, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Busby targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a sex tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine. That video should actually be 10 minutes or so. Hey, Tony, instead of releasing your edit, put the whole video out. I don't have it, or I wouldn't myself. You know what happened, and you're trying to manipulate the media. The encounter in question took place during the day at her invitation, and now that appears to be a deliberate setup, coordinated by Gabby, also known as Carly on OnlyFans. Gabby and Tony Busby want $50 million. What they're getting is sued for defamation and trying to take me down. My career is all about real talk and honesty. I know my family and fans know exactly what this is about. And I'm going to be out there telling you whatever I need to say, just like I always do. I love all you guys. Thanks.
Well, it's a sad situation. Shannon Sharpe is somebody I work with a couple of days a week. Shannon Sharpe is somebody that I brought to ESPN. Works on First Take, which airs on ESPN every weekday morning from 10 a.m. to 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. He's been with me every Monday and Tuesday. We've been number one for 13 years and counting. But since Shannon has arrived, obviously he's helped the show immensely. And I can't thank him enough for it. We've grown close as friends. I'd like to believe that. I certainly root for him. I know he's been through a lot in life. He's overcome a lot of things. And when he departed from Fox, I was more than happy to bring him on board here. So all I can speak about is what I know based on the reports. And I can speak about ESPN and Disney. To be clear, even though this podcast, this YouTube show is owned and operated by me solely, it doesn't mean that I'm going to be dismissive of ESPN, who employs me in my daytime job on First Take. So I sit here before you today letting you know that they are aware that this is a subject that I was going to broach because I owe them that courtesy. With that being said, it's important to point out a couple of things. Number one, I was not there. I can provide no eyewitness account. And even though I got love and respect for Shannon Sharpe, and I'm sincerely hopeful and prayerful that he is completely innocent of the allegations that have been levied against him, I can't sit here and speak to his innocence or guilt from a knowledgeable place because I have nothing to do with this. I haven't seen anything. I don't know anything. I don't even know this person. I know what the reports say. I know the reports, the things that have been reported on a multitude of outlets, from the AP to the New York Post to Forbes to TMZ and everything in between. I mean, I can't even count the number of publications that have talked about it or written about it, networks, etc. It's all over the internet. It's everywhere. And I know that. I'm fully aware of that. This is not a criminal case. So there is no concern about him going to jail. This is a civil case, which means that he could either be found liable or not liable. The accuser in question is seeking $50 million. That was confirmed by Shannon Sharpe on that video today. According to the reports, it's somebody that he met in 2023, who was 19 years old at that particular moment in time. According to some audio that was put out earlier today by Attorney Busby, you hear the accuser, the female, talking to somebody who is alleged to be Shannon Sharpe. We don't know whether that's true or not. And the person in question, again, we don't know whether it's Shannon or not, the words choke, as in I will choke the hell out of you if I saw you. And so because of that, knowing that audio was probably going to come out along with additional tapes, whether they be video or audio is unclear at this particular moment in time, Shannon Sharpe felt compelled to come out in his own defense. How we interpret that? Let me be very, very clear about where I'm coming from. I'm a bit torn in terms of his response. On one hand, Tony Busby has sued Jay-Z. He did sue Diddy. He did accuse them, or represented the woman who was accusing them of assault, of sexual assault, and said that she was 13 years of age at the time when talking about Jay-Z and Diddy, and Jay-Z went ballistic and emphatically denied it, wouldn't let it go. The case was dropped, and now he's suing Busby, mentioning words like extortion and other things. So when Shannon Sharpe brought up Mr. Busby in that video that we aired and talked about him being extorted, he brought up Mr. Busby and Mr. Busby's past. And he talked about him, going against African-American men. There's two thoughts there. On one hand, there's the Jay-Z, who obviously should be presumed innocent, not just because you should be presumed innocent until found guilty, but because of the manner in which he fought on his own behalf and has been very aggressive in going after Tony Busby. In the case of P. Diddy, In the case of P. Diddy, you don't know what to believe. Again, the case against Jay-Z was a civil suit. Diddy was a civil suit. But in Diddy, you don't know what to believe because of all the allegations he's facing. But we can't forget that Tony Busby was also the person that represented at least 24 of the 27 women that accused Deshaun Watson of sexual misconduct along with other allegations. And at least 23 of those cases were settled. So we have an obligation to mention that. So on one hand, going on the offensive to defend himself, I completely understand where Shannon Sharpe is coming from. On the other hand, when his legal team issued out the press release on X yesterday, and they spoke about, they mentioned her name, and they revealed some of those explicit text messages, that was uncomfortable. And I don't know if that's a strategy that would work. One of the hardest things in the world for all of us to do is to just lay low and be quiet and let our legal team do it. And we don't always know whether or not that's the right thing to do. I know, and I can tell you all that I spoke to Shannon, not in details, but I spoke to him, and he emphatically proclaims his innocence. According to Mr. Busby, his client emphatically proclaims his guilt. So where does that leave us? I'd love to tell you that I know the answer to that question, but I don't. I am the executive producer of First Take on ESPN. I recruited Shannon. I went and got him and brought him to ESPN. But I'm not the boss. Those are other folks. There are layers to this, and there are certain layers even I am not on. I can tell you, I also spoke to co-chairman of Disney, the boss, Jimmy Pitaro, who made it very, very clear. We are taking this matter very seriously, and we are looking into this very, very closely. And once we gather as many facts as we possibly can, we will go from there. And that is all he said. And I can mention his name because I received his permission to say that. I don't know what that means. In my perfect world, this equates to Jay-Z, where the case ultimately dropped and Shannon is allowed to continue on First Take and continue to thrive and shine. And not just that, and have an illustrious career in the podcast stratosphere, doing Nightcap with Chad Ochocinco, doing Club Shay Shay, and ultimately gets this $100 million deal that he was all over the news about to sign just a couple of days before this report came out. In my perfect world, he moves on. And somehow, some way, we find this all to be false. But it doesn't seem like that's the way things are about to go down, considering who Mr. Busby is and how emphatic his client is proclaiming that she is right and she's telling the truth.
What?
I don't know where this is going to go.
What?
I can't speak to anything else. I don't know who Shannon Sharpe's legal team is and what they're suggesting. I imagine that everything that has transpired has been at the behest of his lawyers, not just himself. I can tell you again that when I spoke to him, he is emphatic in stating his innocence, that this is a shakedown, to use his words. How wise is it to use those kind of words when a civil matter of this nature is out there? When you have a podcast and you have advertisers and sponsors and you work for ESPN and they have advertising sponsors, I don't know. What can we say if any of us were in that position and we felt or were proclaiming we were innocent? I don't know. And I'm not about to pretend. I just wanted to make sure that I echo to all of you that the only reason I spoke on this issue is because he works with me 2 days a week. He's on national television. He was on national television with me today. He was on national television with me yesterday when the story came out Sunday night. I didn't know anything about it until we got on the air. But he was on air. And if you know him in part because of all the work that he's doing with me and what he's doing in this industry, I know everybody's been waiting. Like, Stephen A., what you got to say about this? I got to say what I just told you.
Oh, shit. I promised y'all a full breakdown. I hope that you have gotten that. What's up with your man, B? Yo, look at the chat. Chat is like, whoa. Oh, Lord, look at the chat. Okay. Shit. So I guess looking at what I see over here, y'all response is I don't need to ask y'all, did he throw him under the bus? The question would be why, right? Now, some of the key points and the key statements that Stephen A. Smith made there is one, he spoke to the big bosses, right? ESPN, Disney, and all that. He got permission to address and to say the things that he's saying here on his own privately owned podcast and platform, right? He mentioned once again, I'm the one that brought Shannon over to ESPN. Ding, 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 ding. Key there as well. He mentioned things like, I'm not sure what to believe because the victim and Tony Busby are so emphatic about their position on the accusations. Wow. I guess the first question I would ask Stephen A. Smith if I was Shannon Sharpe is, you can have this position, you could feel torn, you could be in the middle about this, but did you need to do this video? Did you need to address the pup? At the end of the day, okay, cool. If you and I, this upcoming Thursday, get on our show on ESPN and all we're talking about is game 2 of the Lakers, you know, are they going to tear me down behind that? No. Nobody's targeting Stephen A. Smith right now. Look around the internet. Nobody's saying, yo, Stephen A. Smith, what the hell you bring him here for? No, this ain't Stephen A. Smith's problem. Nobody's blaming him. He wanted to still semi-remove himself in that. So if he's not removing himself from the public, who's he removing himself for? The same people that he went and said, hey, I want to touch on this topic and respond. Do you guys give me permission? Also, can I say your name? That's who. Stephen A. Smith has always had this reputation. People have labeled him at times for being a little bit in the space of cooning. People have given him the reputation at times of being a little Uncle Tomish. You know, when he makes statements such as, when I wake up every morning, the only thing that's on my mind is how do I make my bosses more money? You know, he has a little bit of a vibe that has always been over there. Okay. But sticking with yesterday's stream and sticking with reality of this situation, on this side of the token, you know what Stephen A. Smith is? He is a corporate darling. No bullshit. He is perfect for corporate. The Stephen A. Smiths of the world ain't going nowhere. They appease their bosses too much. They work for their bosses too much. They stay in line 1000%. They never try to color outside the lines. I never try to displace you. I never question you. I don't try to make any missteps on your name, on your company. Ain't no 48 laws of power where later on I'm going to try to learn from the boss and then replace. No, I am here to serve you. And I do a good job at it. Look at the ratings. That if you're the Disney boss of Disney and all this, the Stephen A. Smith, yeah, promotion, which next deal, $100 million, your own show, boom, boom. Oh, who you want? You want Max gone? I got you. Right? We can't even do the black-white thing because Stephen A. Smith is black. People above him are white, and he gets white people off. I want Max gone. I want this person change. I want this. I want a black man. I want Shannon in. Like, but he is so corporate preferred. So when you look at Stephen A. Smith, and we say all the time, when somebody shows you who they are, you got to believe them, right? Whether y'all want to say Uncle Tom like ways and behavior, or a little bit of a vibe of cooning at times. I want to wake up and figure out how I can give my bosses more money, right? Corporate wise, he is the ultimate survivor. Because Shannon Sharpe, I love you like a brother. I brought you over here. I helped you put millions of dollars in your pocket. I really did step in and try to rock with you at a time when maybe you were down. Maybe he still saw value in him. Because remember, the story was he called Shannon Sharpe at the time when they had the initial blow up with Skip, when they were arguing over Tom Brady, right? He called him then and said, hey, man, I know Skip. I used to work with him. I'll tell you right now, this is going to get worse. And then when they finally did come to a close, hey, man, come rock with me. So maybe he saw some benefit in it. Maybe he saw some gain in working with Shannon Sharpe, right? But one thing that Stephen A. Smith did not forecast, let's be honest, he didn't forecast the steps that Shannon Sharpe was going to make outside of ESPN. None of us knew that Cat Williams interview was going to happen. None of us knew that the Shay Shay podcast, Club Shay Shay, was going to be one of the, if not the top 3 or whatever biggest podcasts on the scene right now. Nobody knew that. That adds to ESPN. That adds to Stephen A. Smith. Now looks like I told y'all so. Look at the move I made. Look at that. Talk about young scouting or early scouting, right? So there's a lot of genuine nature in and to be praised about what Stephen A. Smith did and going to grab Shannon Sharpe and saying, I got you, man. Let's come over here and let's rev this shit up even more. But at the same token, what Stephen A. Smith shows you is, brother, loved one, I helped you out, whatever. Corporate is my loyalty, to the point where I didn't even need to make this video, but for them, I am. And I'm going to separate ESPN and Disney and all that from what's going on with you, and go even further to say something that I don't even understand why he should be talking about the future of Shannon Sharpe on that network. Why step outside and say that? He already admitted he had his cosigns. Yesterday, title says it's worse this time. And what point was I making? Because of corporate. Here you go, Stephen A. Smith. When I'm right, I gotta take my brownie points. I do, because I'm wrong sometimes, but when I'm right, I'm gonna snatch my brownie points. Corporate. Did he throw him under the bus? When we listen to that, we say, yeah. Right? But this is Stephen A. Smith, and you align yourself with him, understand that you will never step in front of the people that he reports to, ever. If he won't put himself in that seat, why would he put you in that seat? All right. All right. All right. All right, real quick. Let me switch topics to Big U since he's in the thumbnail. I damn near want to end this stream because that was a lot, people. But as promised, it's in the thumbnail. I gotta cover it. Let's do it. I'll keep it as fast as possible for y'all, though. Big U updates. So Big U recently, one of these updates is going to include WAC 100, right? I might got some rope to save WAC 100 with a little bit, even though I don't really fuck with his character too much. But we're always going to call it down the middle, people. We're going to call it real. But it looks like Big U had a bond hearing within the last couple of days. I hear rumors that he was denied, but this was the 26-pager that went in the other day. This went in the 21st of the attempts to deny him. Peep his aliases, people. Eugene Henley Jr., a.k.a. Big U, a.k.a. Unk, a.k.a. Draws, a.k.a. Hannibal, a.k.a. Hannibal Muhammad, a.k.a. Anybody Killer. That's his alias, one of his aliases, a.k.a. Dave Austin. Okay. All right. This is a brief in support of detention for defendant Eugene Henley Jr., once again, to try to keep him from getting bonds, okay? The table of contents pretty much tells the tale. Statement of facts. Defendant is a dedicated rolling 60, and a leader of his own violent racketeering enterprise. Recent examples of defendant's acts or threats of violence include murder of RW, robbery and extortion, power to direct violence. C. Despite a prior 23-year sentence for armed robbery, defendant stayed armed. D. Defendant is not only a physical danger to but a financial danger as well. Wow. E, defendant is fluent in obstruction. Okay. The legal standard, defendant should remain detained because he is a risk of non-appearance and a danger to the community. A, nature of the circumstances of the offenses. B, weight of the evidence. C, history and characteristics of defendant. D, nature and seriousness of the danger posed by defendant's release. Conclusion. Oh, the conclusion. Let's jump down to the conclusion real quick, which is section 5, page 21. It looks like. Okay, I want to see that conclusion. I'm going to keep this one short for y'all. Let's get to the conclusion. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Seriousness. Okay. Where are you? Where are you? Conclusion. Here it is here. Okay. Conclusion. If the court wants to know how defendant will conduct himself on pretrial release, it need look no further than the recordings documented defendant's conduct and threats throughout this investigation. With everything to lose, including the immense goodwill he fraudulently procured from the community and his city, defendant still told anyone who dared to ask that he was a killer. And he proved that he was, because defendant is both a danger to the community and a risk of non-appearance. Should the case not go his way, this court should permanently detain defendant pending pretrial. So, they also went into a lot of the wiretap stuff in here. Even the video that he did while he was turning himself in, there's so many pieces of that they're using against him, i.e. things like witness intimidation, obstruction of, I think, the court process and all this type of stuff, looking to poison the jury, all these type of legal terms that they take out of just his Instagram live alone while he was driving himself over to turn himself in, right? But here's the WAC 100 piece that might get some legs, but we will refute it because we're going to be real, okay? It's the jaw-broken piece that's going around. So you see here on the screen, there was a write-up that says, on multiple intercepted calls, defendant talked about beating up or at least breaking a witness's jaw. And while the defendant may claim other reasons for feuding with that witness, so that's what a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, a couple people that we see are saying, that's WAC 100. We read that in the initial complaint. That 107 pages that initially went in, that we sat and we read through, people, the breaking of the jaw thing, that's WAC 100. That's the threats to him. But the moment you put witness next to it, right, breaking a witness's jaw and reasons for feuding with that witness, there's only one way to define the word witness, people. Okay, if this was WAC 100 reading this and this was Brick Baby's paperwork, you know what he'd be doing right now, right? He'd be running crazy with it. But if you want to try to do at least a tiny bit of due diligence and you want to try to be fair and real as possible instead of trying to jump out the window simply because you don't like somebody, what happens is we go back to the initial complaint, the 107 pager that went in, I believe, in March, right? And we searched this document for jaw, just the word jaw, right? 12/30/2022, Henley again stated he needed to break WAC 100's jaw. So there it is, confirmed for us. He did want to break WAC 100's jaw, at least as per wiretap intercepts. But let's keep going for jaw. Here's another one. Henley told DS he needed to at least break witness 2's jaw. Now, in this initial complaint, they're not going to name WAC 100 by name in that upper piece of the paperwork and then come down here and replace his name with witness 2. It doesn't work that way. Okay. So that's the second jaw broken attempt by Big U. Here, February 7th, 2023. Henley told Robinson he was going to break victim 1's jaw. Who's victim 1, y'all? Allegedly, victim 1 is that party promoter, right? That is allegedly cooperating with the authorities. So that would make sense. Victim 1, and then in that detention complaint that we just read, or why they want to detain him and not give him bail, they said witness. Victim 1 allegedly is that party promoter that is cooperating. He allegedly even has an interview or he's speaking out. We played that. Okay. And there's one last one to reference jaw, which is here. February 13, 2023. Big U stated he was going to break the jaw of a business manager who worked for a former NBA MVP. Okay. All right. So as much as I don't like the way that Wack be acting and he jumps out the window and he don't care about putting that label on people, the truth is the truth, man. If I do paperwork reads, I'm going to be real, whether I like somebody, trust somebody, believe in somebody or not. Okay. So it doesn't appear to be Wack 100 that's being called out as per his detention request, no bond request related to a witness's jaw being broke. All right. And last but not least, as far as Big U's update, um, this constitutes once again, them trying to get his bond up out of here. Order of detention pending trial. Okay, you see checkbox for motion of government attorney pursuant to that code, or checkbox motion of government court's own motion pursuant that code. Okay, let's skip the unchecked boxes. Let's get down to this one here. Analysis and statement of reasons for detention. This box is checked by clear and convincing evidence that no condition or combination of conditions of release will reasonably assure the safety of any other person in the community. Okay. Next checkbox. By preponderance of evidence that no condition or combination of conditions of release will reasonably assure the defendant's appearance as required. So they think he going to hit that race, huh? They're like home detention, ankle monitors, and all that. They don't believe it. Okay. In addition to any findings made on the record at the hearing, the reasons for detention include the following: weight of evidence against the defendant is strong, subject to lengthy period of incarceration if convicted, prior criminal history, history of violence, or use of weapons. Okay. And also prior attempts to evade law enforcement. I wonder if the prior attempts as well, if we read through the prior paperwork in full that we just had up, if that is about the video of him turning himself in, because they're saying he wasn't staying at his known mailing address. Like he heard that it was getting hot and then he was staying in different places. So if they believe that, or if they were tracking his movements, or if they're showing, at least in their investigation, that he was moving around a bunch and whatnot, it looks like evasion to them. Okay. So prior attempts to evade law enforcement. Other reasons or further explanation, damn, they had to even add something that there wasn't a checkbox for. And for the reasons stated on the record. Okay. All right. This handwriting is like mine. I never had good handwriting. All right. And there we have it, folks. We did Stephen A. Smith. We did corporate. We did Miss allegedly Gabriella Zaninga, the lawyer that spoke out about the behind the scenes tens of millions or at least $10 million attempt to hush this all before it went public, the hiring of Tony Busby. Now we moving this needle up to 50 million. The audio, the text messages, what this girl looks like, her perception, back page, little 20-year-old or big. We did a lot today. Damn. So today's stream definitely steps on yesterday's stream in that we left a little bit more gray because that write-up was like, we got to cause to pause. The amount of things that have come out since yesterday's stream, this is bad. Stephen A. Smith is extremely tapped in. He's a corporate darling to the powers that be. Him to be saying he doesn't know the future of Shannon and whatnot. If Shannon starts dropping off of the show, I'm not saying fired, but if he starts dropping off the show, don't be shocked. Also, he has $100 million supposedly on the table. We'll see what happens to that. This is bad, man. This is bad, man. We got to watch the people that we deal with. We gotta be careful with the type of women and men, people like ladies. Be careful with the type of men you deal with. Fellas, be careful with the type of women you deal with. We gotta be careful. And also, we got to be more careful in today's era on these phones and these text messages, because what if I'm really just talking about choking you because that's what we did last night sexually? But you put that little clip out and you spin the context on me, like, just can't trust but so many people, man. That's why I've become very reserved on text message lately. You know what I'm saying? 1 word, 2 word answers, emoji answers. Because that's how they'll do you, man. It's crazy. But all right, y'all. Hope y'all enjoyed today's stream. It's Sorry It's True, and we will be back.
Don't confuse silence with work ethic. I'm a boss making decisions, my first fetish. The verse cherished is perfect, that's a reverse blemish. I dropped it, connected the block, learn Tetris.
This is the Sorry It's True podcast. Welcome to the house of. And shout out to the members.
I think still got a gun.